So it's 6 o'clock. I want to go ahead and call the meeting to order. 6 o'clock, December 8th. So first item, we want to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So y'all want to rise real quick, remove any hats. Would anybody like to say a prayer or something like that before we begin? Mark?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the folks that are serving our community, and we ask your blessings on them, and especially you, Mayor, and as we get started, we pray your blessings on the direction that this group goes and everything they do, and we just thank you for their service. Be with them tonight as they make decisions, and may the best decisions be made, and it be made with our community in mind as they make them. Thank you for our city and our community, and continue to bless it in everything that we do. In Christ's name, amen.
So at 6:01, we have a visitor's remark. I'm going to go ahead and begin with the visitor remark. So Enrique Juarez would like to say a few words. If he would like to step up to the microphone and go ahead and address his public remarks. Thank you.
I asked if I could remove the mask so I can speak. This is one of the good masks, the good news. That's the good news. The bad news is I have to gasp for air. And I don't want to sound like I'm over here choking, okay? So I don't think anybody's within 6 feet from me, so I'm going to remove it just slightly. Mr. Mayor, Council, City Secretary, Mr. City Manager, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I thought I only had 3 minutes. I found out right now I have 5, but don't worry, I'm not going to use all 5. I am here today, first of all, to introduce myself, Mayor Flores. I am the city attorney. I have been the city attorney for a few years, but I have been the city prosecutor for almost as long as Mark has been city manager. And I've also been a lot shorter than the judge. The judge has been here much longer than I have. But I've been here somewhere around 15 years. I'm here to speak because my history and background was in, now it's human resources, it used to be personnel. And I've always believed that if you're going to assess someone, you need to have as much information as you can get so that you can make a true assessment, so that you can make a correct evaluation of that person. And I came forward because I believe everyone should step forward when the time is right and be heard. The judge interacts with almost everyone here to a certain point. I'm gonna say less than 25%. I guess the one that deals with him the most would be our city manager. I am the only person that interacts with him very closely, at least 2 days a week. I've been doing that for 15 years, and I think because our interaction, the setup requires our interaction. I think I'm in a good position to speak and give you my assessment of the judge. Okay, I'm not his cheerleader. I'm not his, someone here banging the drum for him. I'm here because I feel like to make an informed decision, you all must have as much information as possible. I have seen decisions made before, not with these people, with you all here. I've seen decisions made before that were unfair or unprofessional and somewhat dangerous. And I say that because if you fairly evaluate someone and assess their knowledge, skills, and abilities, that person um, should be grateful. That person should understand that you have a basis for your belief. Uh, and sometimes for outside reasons, outside the scope of personnel, some people will have an agenda, and the agenda is, well, out. Let's get them out. Let's do this and let's do that. And I think that's unfair. And it's unprofessional and it's very dangerous because it brings liability to the city. The city opens itself up to a lawsuit when someone rightly or justifiably believes they've been wrong. So I believe we need um, to take um, to take a good look at what we're going to do with the judge. Okay, my assessment of him is that he's very punctual. He rarely misses court. Sometimes a fire or a big call will come in the middle of court, and he'll run and put the fire out, so to speak, and then comes right back. Did I say something wrong? Oh, so he'll come right back and he'll continue with the court. He's very fair. He's very impartial. He listens to the citation. He listens to the people. He has what I call very good judicial temperament. I've been practicing 32 years as an attorney. In 32 years, I've seen judges that shouldn't be up there because their judicial temperament just is not there. And my opinion of Judge Daniels is he has very good judicial temperament. I've seen him not get angry when I get angry because someone in front of him is just instigating or just giving him a hard time. And I find him to be a compassionate person. He understands people's plight. He understands the world that we live in now, and he considers that. So I'm here to tell you that professionally, personally, as a person, and historically, the judge is a very good judge. We have both received offers to go somewhere else, and both of us have refused it because when you're doing something you love to do, it's very hard to walk away from it. And even though we're compensated, this is something that we, as professionals, love to do. So I ask you, am I running out of time, Jackie? Okay. I ask you to really consider extending this contract for 3 years, or his appointment, not a contract. And I thank you for your time. This is the Speakers Bureau, so there's no question and answers. But I really appreciate you hearing me, Mr. Mayor. Pleasure to meet you. One day soon, we'll get to shake hands.
We appreciate you, Mr. Juarez, taking your time and being here today and sharing your thoughts on reappointing the judge. Thank you.
Thank you.
So at 6:09, I'd like to move to the consent agenda. We have a total of 5 items on the consent agenda. Before we make a motion on the consent agenda, does anybody have any questions in regards to anything on the consent agenda? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anybody have questions, discussions, or comments that they would like to make?
I have a question on number 4.
Okay, if you have a question on number 4, what we're going to go ahead and do right now is we're going to move to approve 1, 2, 3, and 5, and then we can come back to 4 so we can discuss that a little bit further. Is that okay with everybody? Any questions or comments?
Number 5, but it can be settled quickly. I just wanted to know if a date and time has been set for the public hearing. That's all I wanted to.
Okay.
The packet.
Okay. So with that said, do you have any other questions or comments about number 5 before we move to approve 1, 2, 3, and 5? Any other questions, comments?
I don't have any others.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and make a motion for items 1, 2, 3, and 5.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as it is for 1, 2, 3, and number 5.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those do the same for nay. So we go ahead and make a motion to approve consent agenda 1, 2, 3, and 5. And that'll take us to number 4 on the consent agenda. That's consideration and action to approve a chemical service agreement with DPC Industries, Inc. to provide sulfur dioxide. Mark, is there anything you'd like to share about that particular item?
Yes, okay. No, I wanted to ask,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
what? Yeah, I wanted to ask, on that particular, item on, it says on there on the reading about the local representative. Who is a local representative, Mark?
I don't recall his name today, but he's the manager for Air Gas.
Okay, so we don't have a problem by approving the other bid?
No, sir, because they refused to provide services to us under the agreement that the price would stay constant for the next year. And we've had discussions with both their local manager as well as their attorneys.
Okay. That was my question, just as long we're in legalized, that we don't or break the rules by not doing the bidding all over again, or we don't have to, that's fine. That was my question.
Yes, sir. Basically, they've refused to honor their bid. Is
Okay.
basically what they've done.
All right.
And Mark, it went from 165 to 190 on the new bid, right, that we accepted?
Correct.
Okay, and that will stay in for a full calendar year, correct, according to what it said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Any additional questions in regards to consent agenda item number 4? Any questions, discussions, or comments? Let's go ahead and motion to approve consent agenda item number 4. All those in favor?
I make a motion to approve item number 4 as it reads.
I'll go ahead and second that. Okay, so with that said, go ahead and make a. So all those in favor, go ahead and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all those that oppose, say the same. Motion carries to approve items 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. Next up on the action items, consideration and action to approve a service agreement with the Los Fresnos Rodeo. Mark, I know that you recently had sent some information, so I'm going to call up the Los Fresnos Rodeo to speak at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nice to meet you this evening, and thank you to the councilman for giving us the opportunity to be here with you this evening. On behalf of the Los Fresnos Rodeo Committee, we want to thank you for the sponsorship that was offered to us back in August the 11th of this year. That sponsorship was pending our approval of having a rodeo or not having a rodeo. And it was with a lot of consideration that we voted last month, the rodeo committee voted last month not to have the 2021 rodeo. We will not have our rodeo. We canceled it. We're looking at 2022 now. It was a tough decision. We took the consideration of the health and safety of the spectators, contestants coming from all over the country, volunteers, and our own community. Um, we're known as the biggest little rodeo in Texas, and we want to keep it that way. Um, we know that the safe and responsible decision was to not have the rodeo. Um, we thank you for your consideration for this coming year. We'll be back in hopefully August next year and ask you for the same sponsorship. Um, we are already planning for our 2022 rodeo. We've got some capital improvement projects that we're working on, and we are going to stay busy between now and February of 2022, our next rodeo. And Jerry can probably elaborate on scholarships and stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and the people of the board. We appreciate y'all having us here. First of all, I'd like to say, it was a tough decision, and we have three family fathers here tonight from the rodeo, myself, Mr. Daniel, and Mr. Logan. We thought this rodeo was, would inception was over 31 years ago, and we were part of the group that put this thing together. I'm very proud to say that we have survived this long, and we're doing the right thing this year. We appreciate your help in the past. We will be back next year. But there's a few things I want you all to know. We will continue, like Mr. Gomez said, the project. We will continue to give out scholarships to children in the valley as we have in the past. And there's one thing I think is a little important to y'all that some people haven't even thought of. On our webpage, we've had we have a webpage out there that has the same letter you all had in front of you, so that you know that we're not having the rodeo. Well, we've had over 18,000 views on our webpage, knowing that we're not going to have the rodeo. And to this date, we have not seen one negative comment about us not being on the rodeo. It hurts to say that we're not having it, but we know we're doing the right thing in our heart for everybody concerned. Thank you all for your efforts and your consideration, and we will be back next year again. Thank you.
And on behalf of myself and perhaps we speak for everybody in this room, we appreciate everything over the years. And we understand that this year, 2020, has been a very difficult year. And the safety of the community, I think, is at the forefront. So thank you very much. And we value the partnership with the rodeo. Thank you. Is there any questions or comments anybody else would like to say?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I know how important the rodeo is to the community, and not just the community, but the surrounding area and the amount of money that you bring in, that it brings in to Los Fresnos. With this in mind, since we're not going to be using the allotted money that we put out there, maybe we can earmark it for as an addition for the following year. So instead of just, and then again, but this comes back up in August, but food for thought. Keep in mind, maybe we can increase the amount for this one, for 2022, so that we can do bigger and better things.
That's definitely a topic that we can discuss at a later time and work out the details about that.
Just food for thought.
I want to say thank you to everybody that's involved with the rodeo, and that it has been a very successful endeavor on the part of both the rodeo committee and the city. We've had a lot of success, I know, bringing economic development to the community, and the things that you do all for the children. As far as scholarships go, etc. It's hard to repay that. So I just wanted to say thank you for all that you guys do. And I'm glad to see you. Glad to see you doing well. So thank you all very much.
Okay, so with that said, consideration and action to approve a service agreement with the Los Fresnos Rodeo. With that said, I want to go ahead and motion to approve or deny. So, okay, yeah, because I was thinking there was really nothing. Okay, so taking no action, moving on to action item number 2. On this one, we will be discussing a little bit more consideration and action to approve a service agreement with the Cameron County Fair and Livestock Show. Do we have anybody here today? Come on up, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Can y'all hear me okay, or should I take the mask off?
Yeah, however you feel comfortable.
Can you hear me? Take it off? Okay. My name is Valerie Arizmendi, and I represent the Cameron County Fair and Livestock Show. We are an organization that are committed to the youth of Cameron County to promote 4-H and agriculture and FFA projects. 4-H and FFA kids have had their projects since March, a lot of them, and they have been participating in local prospect shows and have been doing very well in those local prospect shows. So with that being considered, we don't want to deprive the youth of Los Fresnos and Cameron County of having the ability to show their animals here. We've been here with the rodeo since before 2005. I forget the exact date that we've been here. Mark and I talk about it every year. When did you come? Anyhow, we've done some changes to our show schedule. Generally, we're very busy, very crowded because we bring all the animals in at the same time. So we've done some things to kind of mitigate the number of people that are going to be at the showgrounds in order to afford the opportunity for the kids to show. So what we're planning on doing is, instead of all the animals coming in at one time, we will have the kids that are bringing cattle projects, steers and heifers, and they will come in and they will show and they will go home. They will not stay overnight. The next day, the lambs and goats will come in, they will show, and they will go home. This will decrease the number of people hanging around in the barns and around the show arena watching the kids show. It'll just be the parents usually. The next day, we will do the rabbits, and while the rabbits are showing, we will be having the pigs come in because the pigs are a different breed. They take a little bit more handling than a lamb, a goat, or a steer. And they will be the only ones that will probably stay overnight and have the hog show, and then they will go home. We will be moving the dates of the show. Normally we run in conjunction with the rodeo, but on the third weekend in February, but we're going to move to the first weekend in February because some of the major shows are doing the same thing. Houston, Austin, San Antonio are extending their days to do the same thing, to decrease the number of people there. So with that being said, we kind of bump into San Antonio and Houston on that third weekend. So by going to the first weekend, we're going to get rid of that little aspect of bumping into the major shows to afford the kids that can't go to the major shows the opportunity to show. The other things that we've done is we have done away with the home show for this year, because if you've ever been to the show, the home show goes into that little tiny office area and it's very crowded, very congested. So there will be no home show this year. We will also not afford the kids the opportunity to do livestock judging, because that's where the kids get in groups and look at the animals and judge the animals themselves. We are doing away with that. The other thing that we are not going to have is we usually have what we call Pee-wee showmanship and an old timer show where us as adults get to show the kids animals and have a fun time, and that usually brings a big crowd. We're not going to hold that this year. So we're doing everything we can to decrease the likelihood of a lot of people being gathered. We plan on putting up hand sanitizer on all the different corners and up and down the alleyways. We have a form that was put out by Texas A&M Agriculture University, Agriculture Department, that they are using for all these prospect shows. And we have modified it to say that they hold no liability to the city, the CDC, the rodeo, the Lions Club, and us, because, you know, there is a risk of contracting COVID. So we have that, and we're going to ask them, each exhibitor sign that, so that way they know that, you know, there is a slight risk. But we will also enforce mask wearing. If somebody does not want to wear a mask, I will ask them to leave the grounds. Okay, I have no problems with asking people to leave the grounds if they refuse to wear their mask properly, especially if they're in amongst other people. We will be making some adjustments to the Queen's Contest because that's usually held indoors at the Los Fresnos High School cafeteria. We have opted for an outdoor venue, and that will be held over here in the show barn as well. Dr. Virginia Miller is going to be handling that. and that will be on January the 30th. So we're doing all that we can to decrease the likelihood for contracting COVID. And the vaccine is here. The hospital is going to start giving it out probably next week. So hopefully this coronavirus will go away very soon. But we hope that you can continue to support the Cameron County Fair and Livestock Show, because by being able to put on the Queen's Contest, that will give the rodeo their queen for 2022. And we will also be able to continue to give out the scholarships that we award to the kids that apply. And last year we gave out $10,000 in scholarships.
Thank you very much. I think that's incredible what you're doing, and taking all the preventative actions to ensure a safe but yet fun time here at the Livestock Show. So anything else that you would like to add in regards to that?
No, I think I covered everything. I hope I covered everything.
Well, again, we appreciate it, and would like to open this time up.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
I have a question. Are you gonna let the community know what the schedule is? I've already forgotten the order. So is there gonna be some way to?
Yes, we usually put it in conjunction with the rodeo and stuff like that, but I'll make sure that it gets put in the Los Fresnos paper and the Valley Morning Star like we always have. We'll still make sure that it gets,
In the Facebook, there's Los Angeles, page right here.
yes, we have a Facebook page for the Livestock Show, but I can hook it up with the rodeo as well. And then I guess Mark can put it, y'all have a Facebook page for the
Are we doing a
city?
banner? Are we doing any type of banner like we put in the center of town where, letting that know? or
We
nothing
don't
like
have
that?
a banner
Okay.
because the rodeo typically has had the banner, and there's only the one banner, so we don't specifically have a banner, but we could look into it if that's what you would like.
Just want to make sure people driving up and down the freeway know that there's something, those that are not on Facebook, those that are not social media or anything, that don't get the newspaper, perhaps can drive by and know that this event is going to be held here. Perhaps, I'm not sure if that'll be anything to do or if it'll make any difference, but it's just a way. I know this for years, I've seen the rodeo one, and I just thought maybe there was one
Yeah.
for the livestock.
The only thing though is if we're trying to decrease people coming in,
Of course.
the banner, I think, would promote people
invite.
coming in, and then we would have more congestion. The thing is I just want to have the opportunity for the kids to be able to show their animals, work towards their buckles and jackets that they are awarded, and then, of course, the scholarships.
Understood, and that's totally acceptable. I agree with that.
With that in mind, I know that you have procedures to control the kids, the parents, and that are showing. What do you have in line to, let's say, you control the crowd that comes in, and there's not too many outings available, and then here you have a crowd coming in that's not, they're there as visitors and not as participants.
Correct. So, if it's not publicized with the banner, there might not be a whole lot of outside foot traffic. But historically, one of my committee members is a county sheriff in the La Feria office, and he typically gets the off-duty officers to come and patrol. And we work with the city police, and so the city police normally handle the rodeo side. And so we found one year that we needed somebody on our side several years ago. We had a man who, had opened up a rabbit cage, and he was taking a rabbit home with him. He was cutting it and he was taking it home. And so, after that time, we have hired officers to be there with us during the day as well as at night. So I anticipate that we will have security officers there as well.
Okay, is there any consideration for limiting, let's say a crowd does show, limiting the amount of people, visitors coming into the ground so it doesn't become a problem?
We could do that. Normally we have gentlemen that manage parking the trailers and so forth like that, because we always get very congested with the parking for the rodeo and the trailers and when we typically come in. So I'm sure we could manage having the gentlemen that normally handle parking for when they come in and when they leave, so we don't interfere with the rodeo flow. I'm sure we could handle them as far as limiting the number of people coming actually into the show barns over there.
Valerie, I have a question. I don't know if you can answer it or Mark can answer it, but with regards to the CDC regulations, I know you're going to follow CDC regulations, which is good. However, has this been run by the county, Mark, and the county is in agreement with it with regard to the social distancing issues and all that stuff? They have approved it? Okay, good.
And I went to a prospect show at Mercedes. Mercedes has been holding prospect shows every weekend for the past 5 weekends, I would say. This past Saturday, the Saturday before. And I went the Saturday before, and it was for pigs only, and it was very well spaced as far as people standing. They were not congregating in the bleachers. They were sitting, their family groups, 2 or 3, and then they were spaced apart. So I think we've all got it for the most part that, we need to wear our masks, we need to social distance, and, stay home if you're sick, So I think everybody wants to give their kids the opportunity that they're going to do what they need to do to give their kids the opportunity to be able to show.
Now, will we be marking the ground with certain spots? I know it's going to be like an outdoor thing, but will we like spray paint 6-foot markers for families to stand or people? Or I'm not sure.
I don't think that if we were to spray it, that it would stay for very long because we're dirt over there and sand. So once somebody steps on it, it's going to go away. So I think that would be a waste of time and money to try and spray paint things.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just figure it out some kind of way. I know that these gentlemen addressed the concern of the social distancing.
Right.
I just want to make sure we cover all.
and I
Right.
plan on getting signs made that masks are required, stay home if you're sick, and please maintain social distancing to put up around the barn and in the show arena. And if y'all have ever been, I'm usually the one on the microphone. So I'm pretty good about telling people that, get off the fence line, you're standing too close, whatever. So I have no problems telling people, put your mask on.
Well, we sure look forward to it, and I know the children look forward to it in school. This is their opportunity to do something they've been wanting to do all year, and we've given them the opportunity. So I'm grateful for this. With that said, anything else anybody would like to share? Mark, any other of them, council members?
Thank you very much
Thank you,
for
gentlemen.
all that you do, Valerie.
Thank you very much for being here tonight. With that said, action item number 2, consideration and action to approve a service agreement with Cameron County Fair and Livestock Show. I'm going to go ahead and motion. Anybody want to make a motion to approve?
I move that we accept.
Oh, okay, so it's already been approved, so I guess no action is taken. This is just something that we're bringing up today. Thank you very much. Action item number 3, consideration and action on the reappointment of Gene Daniels as municipal judge for a 3-year term. I want to start off with, is there anybody that'd like to say something? Mark?
I'll just comment that part of our charter says that I am to give a person, not appoint, y'all do the appointing, but I'm supposed to provide you with someone. And, Mr. Watt has already mentioned about Mr. Daniels and the service he provides their community. I think wasn't this time last year, but it was sometime within the last year that was talked about the way the court runs and how good it runs. And it was from Linebarger, Goggin, and Blair, the ones that seek courts and do a lot of collecting for fines that are really old. And we have a good track record with that. And part of that's the team that we have together, led by Gene Daniels. And so my recommendation is to continue that. They've been since 1993, as you can see, already 27 years. And some people worry about that at times, but when it's really good and you don't worry about that, you keep something going good. So that's our recommendation.
Okay, is there any other questions or discussions anybody would like to share in regards to Mr. Dean Daniels?
Reappoint Mr. Daniels as municipal court judge.
Okay, we got two members to approve a motion for consideration and action to reappoint Gene Daniels as municipal judge for a 3-year term. Any other questions or comments about their approvals? With that said, let's go ahead and make all those in favor, go ahead and say aye.
Aye.
All those that oppose do the same. Motion carries to approve consideration and action of the reappointment of Gene Daniels as municipal judge for a 3-year term. Next item on the agenda is discuss approval, resolution, designation as administration service provider for the 2021-2022 TX CDBG Community Development Fund application and project implementation administered by the Texas Department of Agriculture. With that said, would anybody like to say anything about that? Any questions or comments or discussions about that particular topic? Okay, go ahead and anybody want to make a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve. Yes.
I'll go ahead and second. Okay, we got two council members making a motion to go ahead and approve item number 4, which is discuss approval resolution designation and administration service provider for the 2021-2022 TX CDBG Community Development Fund application and project implementation administered by the Texas Department of Agriculture. All those in favor want to go ahead and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those that oppose do the same.
For the record, it's Grant Works, which was a top-rated firm that is part of that motion, correct?
Yeah, we did receive the packet on those in the mail, and it had that one along with the other one that was, I guess, they were both running for the bid. And then there was a questionnaire on that was answered by several members, and I did see there were some scores involved in that as well.
Correct.
Thank you very much. With that said, motion carries to approve. Next item, consideration and action on the selection of mayor pro tem for a 1-year term. Anybody have any questions or any comments or discussions in regards to that item?
I move that we appoint Andrew Lovett to that position.
I'm sorry, what was that again? I couldn't hear you. I didn't hear you.
I move we appoint Andrew Lovett.
Andrew Lopez, anybody want to go ahead and second that? I know there was an application in our packet for the gentleman. There's 2. So we have 2 motions to approve in consideration and action of the selection of a mayor pro tem for a 1-year term. All those in favor want to signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those in favor that are not in favor signify as well. Go ahead and motion carries for the consideration and action on the selection of the mayor pro tem for a 1-year term. So next item up, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint a member of the council to the Southmost Regional Water Authority Board. On this one, Mark, we've been talking about that for several years now. You want to comment on there being a mayor and then it's open to other members if they like?
Yes, sir. I'll just kind of summarize my comments is that it's got to be elected official, one of the 6 of you. Initially, when it was started, Gary Minton was on the council and he served as the original one. And when I was first here, Mayor Winstead had the time, and so he served. After he left, the other folks that were elected did not have the time, and so Mayor Narvaez had the time to serve, and so he served. There was some confusion. Was it the mayor that had to be there or just an elected official? Southmost Regional, according to the bylaws, it's an elected official of the board. So it's one of the 6 of you. So we wanted to be sure that it was understood that way. Polo called me today and said he's still willing to serve if y'all want him. It's a decision that this council makes.
Would anybody like to make a motion for Mr. Narvaez, since he did have that conversation today, to be appointed to the Southmost Region Water Authority Board?
I move that we appoint Roland Rice to the Water Board, Southmost Regional Water Authority.
I second.
Okay, with that said, we have two council members who have approved the consideration and action to appoint or reappoint a member of the council to the Southmost Regional Water Authority Board, which is Polo Narvaez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Of course, the same for those that oppose. Motion carries. Item number 7, consideration and action to appoint a member to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Anybody want to have any kind of discussion? I know there's an application for one applicant on that. We do have a person on there. There was an application attached to that. There was a person that lives off of Resaca Retreat. And this individual wanted to be more involved with the city. Does anybody make a motion, or before we make a motion, does anybody have any questions about this particular candidate? And would anybody motion to approve this particular candidate?
I'll go ahead and move that we approve the individual to the Planning and Zoning Board.
Henry Bebon. Okay, that's right. Okay, Henry Bebon. It would be the planning and zoning applicant, and Polo Narvaez makes a motion to approve. And does anybody second that motion?
Second.
Great. So we have two members that have made a motion to approve the consideration and action to appoint Mr. Bebon to the Planning and Zoning Commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Moving on to item F, which is acknowledgement of the city manager report. Mark?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I won't go through each item because I've explained those. I just do want to mention about Henderson Road. Talk to the engineer as well as the contractor. They will be delivering a notification to the folks in that area probably tomorrow to show that they'll close back the east side. And they figure that it'll take them 2 weeks to get the base right and do the things, pave it, get the sidewalk, and get the east side complete, ready to go, while the people are continuing on the bulkhead or the retaining wall on the west side. But the west side is open for traffic, and we'll be able to do that. So that's good news that we're getting close to the end of that project, and I'm looking forward to see what it looks like, and good things with, it's going to be raised, and so that's going to be good for heavy rain times, and I think it'll be nice. So that's all I had on, unless somebody had a question on any other, that one or any other projects.
No questions at this time?
I move that we acknowledge and the city manager's report and accept it as such.
Does anybody second that? Okay, so we got two council members who will acknowledge the city manager's reports. Let's go ahead and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And also those that oppose as well. Motion carries to acknowledge the city manager's report. Next, we have the acknowledgement of the department head reports. Do we have any questions or comments in regards to these reports? Go ahead and make a motion to approve. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Police, supporting our police. It's an amazing job that you have done. Also, the nature park is just going tremendous.
And credit to all the city employees and the organization of the city. It's really looking nice.
Thank you. It takes a lot of folks and committees working hard on like the nature park and presenting ideas and giving the expert advice and direction. And then got a lot of folks with help to make it happen. In the same way with the blue lights and the appreciation for the police officers looking well, and a lot of people are being involved and asking. What I'm liking is a lot of the businesses are working up some things to give them discounts and give them show appreciation through those kinds of things. So I think that's pretty cool. We will have a special meeting in a week to 10 days when they can all be, so that we can give them. We've got something to give them from you on behalf of the city to each officer. And so we'll have this be a short meeting to recognize them and give them that. And so that'll be, if not next week, the very first part of the other week, because then we get into Christmas, but we'll do it before then.
That's awesome. I still drive by every day, and I'm amazed at seeing those flags waving there, and it's just really nice. The signs all over the park. And then recently there was some added in front of the library, which I saw that there were some additional flags that were added on there. So it is a great job for coming together, and I think we're one of the few towns in the area that actually do something like this for our police officers. So thank you again, Mark, for everything that you do. With that said, I went ahead and motion to acknowledge the department head reports. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed to it as well. So,
Do you have a second?
yes, go ahead. Mark. Yes, oh, I'm sorry. Is there a second acknowledgement of the department head reports? So we have two council members who have acknowledged the department head reports, and both be signified with aye. With that said, we move on to adjournment. It is currently 6:40.